We need to break up, Leo. We're on different levels now. You're just a glorified DoorDash driver, and I'm about to start at a major consulting firm. That's how my world ended the first time. I put my girlfriend through 4 years of college. After she graduated, I thought we'd finally start our life together. I never imagined she'd hit me with that. For years, I'd spent working 3 jobs, getting up before dawn, just so she could have a future. And all I got in return was a lecture about class differences. Well, my name is Leo Carter. I'm a food delivery driver, and for a while, I had a girlfriend who was the envy of every other guy on the road. For her, for Chloe Miller, I intentionally tanked my SATs. I filled in 2 of the answer sheets with random bubbles, ensuring I wouldn't get into a good school. It was a stupid, grand romantic gesture. Chloe's family was broke. They couldn't afford to send her to college, and on top of that, her mom was sick, needing thousands of dollars a month for medication. So I gave up my shot, my one chance to change my own life for her. For 4 years, I delivered food, worked odd construction jobs, did anything that paid cash. Every month, I kept $1,000 for myself and sent the rest to her and her mother. But people could be cruel. The second she had that diploma in her hand, she proved an old saying true. The first thing you do when you reach the shore is cut the rope for the person who helped you across. I was the one she cut loose. In my first life, the pain was unbearable. I'd already burned bridges with my own family for her, all for the fantasy that one day, when she made it big, I could finally relax and be the supportive partner. Instead, she just threw me away. So I bought 2 bottles of bottom-shelf whiskey, climbed to the roof of the tallest skyscraper in downtown Cleveland, and took a step into the void. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. I was back in my childhood bedroom on the day the college acceptance letters were due to arrive online. God, or whatever force brought me back, had a sick sense of humor. Why this day? What was the point of a second chance if I was already locked into the same failure? If I had come back just 1 month earlier, with everything I knew, I could have aced the SATs. I could have gotten into an Ivy League, no problem. What was I supposed to do now? It didn't take long to decide. If I was getting a do-over, I wasn't going to waste it. Chloe Miller, you're going to pay back every dime. But first, I'm collecting some interest. It only takes a moment for a good man to decide he's done being good. Just as my mind was racing, a sweet, familiar voice broke through the haze. It was a voice I'd recognize even in death. Leo, honey, are you okay? You shouldn't have done it. It was so foolish of you to give up college for me. Was it worth it? The queen of crocodile tears. If I hadn't lived through her betrayal once already, I would have fallen for it all over again. Chloe, I said, putting on my most earnest expression, anything for you is worth it. Don't worry. I saw you got into Ohio State. I'll cover your tuition, your living expenses, everything. I'll take care of your mom, too. You just focus on your studies. When you're a high-flying success, I can finally be your kept man. Watching me, Chloe seemed genuinely moved for a split second. But she was always a pragmatist. This whole thing was a long con she'd been running since sophomore year of high school. She chose me for a few reasons. First, I was earnest to a fault. In other words, a total sucker. Second, I was smart. That might sound counterintuitive, but it was all about jealousy. I was good-looking, a top student, basically a big deal at our high school. She wanted to own that, to bring me down to her level, while using my potential to fund hers. Every person has that vanity. Leo, you're too good to me, she cooed. Will you be my boyfriend? The first time she said that, I was so ecstatic I could barely breathe. I thought every sacrifice was justified in that moment. I gave that woman 4 years of my youth, and all I ever got was a few held hands and a couple of chaste kisses. This time, I was going to collect on the interest I was owed. An idea sparked in my mind. Chloe, we have to celebrate you getting into college. How about this? In 3 days, I'll take you out for a real adventure. I heard the theme park down in Columbus is amazing. We've both worked our butts off for years. We deserve a day to just let loose. Chloe, seeing no downside, happily agreed. 3. She trusted me completely. It made sense. She thought she had my personality pegged after 3 years of manipulation. She also knew that if she said no, she might risk the 4 years of financial support I was promising. She couldn't afford to lose me, not when she didn't have another mark lined up. And even if I didn't go to college this year, a guy like me could just take a gap year, reapply, and get in somewhere great. I went home to find my parents sighing over my college rejection emails. Mom, Dad, I messed up, I said, putting on show of remorse. I'm going to take a gap year and reapply. I'll get in next year for sure. I was so careless on the test. I completely messed up the answer sheets. With my grades, I don't even need to take a prep course. I can get into a top-tier school next cycle. Here in my plan, they relaxed. They knew how good my grades had always been. Leo, if you want to take a gap year, you do it, my dad said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. We can afford it. We can support you for 1 year, 5 years, whatever it takes. We were just worried you'd be crushed by this. Seeing you're already looking ahead makes us feel a lot better. That was real love. The first time around, I threw it all away for some pathetic imitation of it. I added, pushing my luck, this year I probably would have just gotten into a good state school. But with another year to study and really focus, I think an Ivy League isn't out of the question. Maybe even Yale. My parents' eyes lit up. They knew what their son was capable of. A year of focused effort. Yale didn't sound like a dream anymore. It sounded like a plan. That's my boy. He's got ambition. My dad boomed. Honey, let's go get something special for dinner. Seeing them so happy, I smiled for real. I had my plan. This year, I would study like my life depended on it. As for getting a job to support Chloe, screw that. Someone else could do the grunt work. But I still had to give her the money. Don't forget, I was reborn. I had a few years of future knowledge in my back pocket. It would be ridiculously easy to make a few $100,000. All the hit songs, the viral novels, the crypto boom. I could just pick one and cash in. In my past life, I was a wage slave who spent his downtime listening to music, reading web novels, and scrolling through TikTok. With that kind of foresight, there was no way Leo Carter couldn't come up with Chloe's tuition. And in 4 years, I was going to give Miss Chloe Miller a surprise she'd never forget. 3 days later, I took Chloe to the theme park in Columbus. Thanks to the cash my parents gave me, I wasn't worried about expenses. Chloe, later we're going to the bank to open an account, I said as we waited in line for a roller coaster. We'll put it in your name, and I'll deposit my paychecks into it every month. That way, you can just focus on your studies and blow everyone away. My grade A simp routine actually seemed to touch her. Just a little. Mostly, she was just proud of how well her scheme was working. Little did she know, the hunter was about to become the prey. At the bank, while Chloe was filling out the new account paperwork, I pulled the account manager aside. I whispered a few things in his ear, something about setting up a credit line tied to the debit account. He looked at me, puzzled at first, then a knowing smile spread across his face, and he nodded. Opening the account was just part of the plan. After the bank, I took her to a nice dinner. She'd never had a day like this, full of fun and food and feeling cared for. As the evening wore on, I could tell she was thinking about heading back. But I wasn't about to let my prize get away. You've worn the same few outfits for the last 3 years, I said casually. Let's go to the mall. I want to buy you something nice, a real college acceptance present. No girl can resist that. Between my persistence and her unwavering confidence in my harmlessness, she agreed. Inside the brightly lit mall, time slipped away. When we finally walked out, loaded with shopping bags, the sky was completely dark. The last bus back to our town had left hours ago. I suggested we get a hotel. Then, with a pained expression, I claimed I'd spent almost all our money. With a little help from the smirking front desk clerk, we ended up in a single room with a king-size bed. Chloe's face was bright red, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. Chloe, you take the bed, I said immediately. There's an armchair over there. I'll just crash in it for the night. This is my fault. I didn't plan the time or the money right. It won't happen again. Why don't you take a shower and get some rest? It's been a long day. Oh, I heard these fancy hotels have free room service. Let me go check. If it's free, we might as well get something, right? Seeing me offer to sleep in the chair, she relaxed completely. The Chloe of now was still just a high school graduate. She had her little schemes, good enough to fool a naive kid like me. But she was far from the worldly woman she would become. And free room service? Of course not. But I did order us some food, along with a nice bottle of wine. The rest of the night went exactly as planned. The next day, sunlight streamed into the room. I looked at the girl sleeping in my arms. No, not a girl anymore. A woman. My plan had worked. In my last life, I died a virgin. This time, I was collecting my interest early. We didn't leave the hotel until late that afternoon. After that, we started meeting up regularly. The next 2 months were a blur of passion. Of course, I had to keep on my persona. I pretended to get a menial job to earn money for her. Finally, it was almost time for her to leave for college. After one last wild weekend, I transferred $20,000 into her new account. The money came from one of my future knowledge ventures. In just a month, I'd already cleared over $500,000. 20 grand was pocket change. But to Chloe, it was proof of my devotion. She was so moved she cried. Still, she was smart. She insisted I not come to campus to drop her off. She said she didn't want me to overwork myself and that she needed to learn to be independent. The real reason, of course, was that she didn't want anyone at college to know she had a boyfriend. She was planning to cast a wide net. I was more than happy to oblige. My dear Chloe, I just hope you don't regret this later. Last life, you were the villain. This life, it's my turn to play the bad guy. In the following months, I buckled down and studied every day. I missed out on college in my first life. This time, I was going to make up for that lost time. That's what a second chance is for, right? To fix your deepest regrets. Of course, I also made time to visit Chloe's mother. Leo, you're here. Come in, sit down. Our Chloe is so lucky to have a friend like you. You've been taking care of me ever since she left for school. A friend? I never noticed that wording before. This old woman knew exactly what our relationship was. Don't mention it, ma'am. It's my pleasure to help out, I said, playing the part. I brought you some groceries. My job's been a little crazy lately, so I can't stop by every day, but please call me if you need anything. You have to build them up before you tear them down. I vividly remembered going to this same woman after Chloe broke up with me in our past life, begging her to talk some sense into her daughter. The mask had dropped then. The venom in her voice was still etched in my memory. Who do you think you are? She'd sneered. A grubby delivery boy trying to cling to my daughter? She's destined for great things. She'll be a somebody. Having a boyfriend like you is an embarrassment. So you spend a little money on her? Once she gets a real job, she'll pay you back every cent, and then some. Now, get out. That conversation was the final nail in my coffin. You take care now, ma'am, I said, smiling as I left her apartment. Call me if you need anything. Once the door closed, my smile twisted into a cold sneer. I kept sending Chloe money every month, sometimes more, sometimes less, but never less than $6,000. With my funding, she was living large at Ohio State. And every single transaction, every dollar, I recorded in a ledger. I was just waiting. For years. I couldn't wait to see the look on her face. I did some digging and found out what I'd suspected. She was already getting close to some senior at her school, some guy who was supposedly the heir to a fortune. I vaguely remembered him from my past life. He'd been there at the breakup, insulting me right alongside her friends. Don't worry, buddy. I've got a long memory. Payback is coming for all of you. 7 over the next year, I transferred another $40,000 to Chloe. Naturally, this wasn't a gift. It required in-person repayment whenever she was home on break. The following spring, I secretly registered for and retook the SATs. As expected, I crushed them. I was accepted to Yale. My parents were over the moon. After a year of quiet embarrassment among our relatives, they threw a huge party. Seeing them so proud, so happy, I felt a warmth I hadn't appreciated the first time around. After being reborn, I finally understood. Anyone in the world might betray you, but your parents never will. I kept all of this a secret from Chloe, of course. She still thought I was working multiple dead-end jobs to fund her lifestyle. Chloe, after you head back to school, I'm thinking of moving to New York, I told her over the phone. There's just not enough money to be made in this town. I gotta go where the real money is, so I can make sure you have the best of everything at school. My buddy Dave said you can make over 10 grand a month doing deliveries in NYC. Then I can send you even more. She didn't suspect a thing. She just laid on the fake gratitude. I know, but don't work yourself to death, Leo. If you get sick, who's going to be there to enjoy the good life with me? Chloe, you used that exact line on me last time. Did you really think I'd fall for it again? In September, I arrived at Yale's campus in New Haven. I had missed this. College was everything I dreamed it would be. My days were full. Chloe never called me unless she needed money. It was only then that she'd bother. Over the past year, I'd used my future knowledge to build a small fortune in the stock market and through some ghost-written songs and novels. I was well on my way to being financially independent. And when she came home for winter break, I could tell she was sleeping with someone else. Don't ask me how I knew. A man just knows. But she still put on her innocent act, and it made my stomach turn. In just 2 years, I had spent over $100,000 on her. And her mother, who used to work part-time, had quit her job entirely, content to let me support her recovery at home. Those two really saw me as their personal ATM. But every withdrawal was meticulously logged. Chloe grew colder and colder, except when she was asking for money. Then, she was all sweetness and light. I was fine with the distance. It gave me peace. Every time I sent a transfer, I made sure the memo read loan. She probably thought it was a joke, that I'd never ask for it back. Those memos were my receipts. We were living parallel lives. Eventually, she couldn't even be bothered to pretend. She'd just text, "Rent is due," or "Need books." I, in turn, sent a single good morning text every day, a message that went unanswered, like a stone dropped into the ocean. She was probably laughing at what a fool I was. Maybe I was a fool, but I knew one thing for sure. In 4 years, when she found out about the graduation gift I had prepared for her, she wouldn't be laughing. She'd be crying. I had friends look into it. She was getting serious with some trust fund kid, but he was cheap, not like me. He wouldn't spoil her. So, to keep him on the hook, Chloe built a persona for herself as a girl who wasn't materialistic. She played that same card in our last life and used it to land a bona fide CEO. 4 years passed in a flash. It was time for graduation, time for the final act. She was going to summon me to her campus to deliver the final blow. I always wondered why she didn't just do it back home. After being reborn, I understood. She was ashamed. If I caused a scene in her hometown, her family would be humiliated. After all, everyone in her neighborhood thought I was practically her mother's son-in-law, always praising what a dutiful young man I was. Her mother was probably in on this plan, too. I put on the old, worn-out clothes I'd bought for this very occasion. I kept them in my closet at Yale for 2 years. Today, they were my battle armor. Let's make a scene. A big one. If by some miracle I showed up today and she proudly introduced me as her boyfriend, I, Leo Carter, would give her a life of luxury she couldn't imagine. But that was a fantasy. Even in death, I could remember the cold, cruel look on her face. When I arrived at the sprawling Ohio State campus, it was almost laughable. After 4 years of paying for her to be here, this was the first time I'd ever set foot on it. Chloe was waiting for me near the main oval. "Leo," she called out, her tone strained. She was trying to look grateful. "Chloe, you look beautiful today. Leo, this is my university. Thank you for everything these past 4 years. I couldn't have finished without you. Don't worry, I'll pay you back one day." There it was. Pay you back, not spend my life with you. Hey, what are you talking about? What's between us? You don't need to say all that. You're about to graduate. My mom and your mom have been asking about our plans. Chloe cut me off. "Leo, please listen to me. I know how good you've been to me, and I appreciate all your sacrifices. But look at you. You deliver food for a living. I'm going to grad school, or maybe to a big firm. We have nothing in common anymore. We just make each other miserable." I stared at her, my face a mask of disbelief. "I know I'm letting you down, Leo, but I have to think about my future, right? I mean, if we got married and had kids, could you even help them with their homework? When I come home from work and talk about my day, would you even understand? Your world is just delivery routes and tips." Her face was a disgusting portrait of false pity. I summoned my inner actor. "Chloe, what are you saying?" I stammer, my voice cracking. Are you breaking up with me? You promised you'd marry me after you graduated. I gave up college for you. Do you have any idea what my life has been like for 4 years? And you're just going to end it?" My outburst made Chloe flinch, a flash of annoyance in her eyes. "Leo Carter, you not getting into college was your own problem, not mine. I didn't ask you to do that. And as for the money you gave me, I kept track of it all. Once I start working, I'll pay you back. Then we won't owe each other anything." The finality in her voice was like a blade. Our argument was starting to draw a crowd of students. "Chloe, is that the brother you were talking about?" One of her friends sneered, stepping forward. "He's so dramatic. He can't seriously think he has a chance with you. He needs a reality check. We're students at a major university. He's out of his league." "Yeah, Chloe, you're too nice," another one chimed in. "Why did you even agree to meet him?" "Dude, chill out," a guy said, sizing me up. "You think a delivery driver can marry our Chloe? Go take a look in a mirror. So what if he paid for a few years of school? She'll get a job and pay you back in a couple of months. She'll even throw in some interest. How about that? It was just like last time. She did this on purpose, surrounding herself with friends to make herself the victim. I spent 4 years of my life and a fortune on this woman, and somehow I was the bad guy. Fine. Today you're going to learn what it feels like to be the one humiliated. I see. I whispered, letting my shoulders slump. I get it now. I made myself look utterly broken. It was all in my head. I was a fool to think we had a future. A few students in the crowd started looking at me with sympathy. Okay, I said, my voice heavy with defeat. I get it. You found someone better. All I can do is wish you the best. Here, you should keep this card. Here it comes. The checkmate I've been setting up for 4 years. I can't take any more of your money, Leo, she said, playing her virtuous role to the hilt. I can work now. I promise. I'll pay you back every single penny. Still playing games with me. You fell for that trap once, Leo. Not again. No, you don't understand, I said, my tone shifting, losing its weakness. This card is a credit card. It was opened with your social security number. All the money I gave you for tuition, rent, and spending money these past few years, I just charged it to this card. You can just make the payments directly to the bank. You said you'd pay me back, right? Well, consider me paid. Now we don't owe each other anything. Chloe stared at the plastic card in her hand. The color drained from her face. How could you? She gasped. How could I? I shot back, my voice suddenly booming across the quad. Why couldn't I? Let's ask your friends here if what I did was wrong. For 4 years, I gave you nearly $300,000. That's 75 grand a year. I did it because I thought we were getting married. But you just said the money was a loan, that this was all a one-sided fantasy of mine, right? I turned to the crowd. So now that she's a big-shot college graduate, ready to pay me back, I've collected my debt. All she has to do is pay the bank. Her friend over there said she'll be making so much money she can pay it off in a couple of months. Is there a problem with that? I walk away. I never bother her again. I'll just admit I was blind. The act was over. I wasn't pretending anymore. Oh, and by the way, I added, looking Chloe dead in the eye. You said I didn't get into college because I was a bad student? Let me remind you and your friends here. From freshman year of high school until graduation, I was ranked number 1 or 2 in our class in every single exam. If that's a bad student, then I don't know what a good one looks like. A murmur went through the crowd. They were all college students. They knew what it meant to be at the top of your class. If you hadn't given me false hope, why would I have thrown my future away? I left 3 entire sections of the SAT blank, and even then, I only missed the cutoff score for state school by a few points. But forget it. It's over. You go your way, I'll go mine. Oh, and one more thing. The 200 grand I spent taking care of your mother for 4 years, consider that a gift. For old time's sake, the onlookers weren't fools. They were starting to piece it together. Leo Carter, you had no right to open a card in my name. Chloe shrieked, her composure finally shattering. I only said I'd pay you back. Is there a problem with paying back a debt? I laughed. For a top student like you, who's about to get a job paying 6 figures, what's the issue? Or did you never actually intend to pay me back? Did you just want to have your cake and eat it too? Chloe was speechless. Let's take this to your dean's office right now. I don't care. Everyone here is a reasonable person. You said, with your own mouth, that you would pay me back. So what's the problem with me taking back what's mine? The whispers in the crowd grew louder. No problem at all. Yeah, she literally just said she'd pay him back. You know, I'm starting to think we don't have the full story here. Of course we don't. The guy was valedictorian. You think he'd throw that away if he wasn't serious? He spent 300 grand on her, not even counting her mom. This guy's a stand-up dude. The girl said she'd pay him back, so him collecting the debt is totally fair. Boxed in by public opinion, Chloe couldn't argue anymore. The reality of the $300,000 debt was crashing down on her. She had no way to pay it. In her mind, her promise to repay me was just an empty phrase to get rid of a pathetic ex. She never dreamed I'd actually call her on it. The revenge was complete. I felt clean. I had to get back to New Haven. After years of playing this part, the curtain had finally fallen. As I turned and walked away, Chloe looked like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Finally, she just turned and fled. I slept with her for 2 years, and in the end, I got all my money back. She was trapped, with no one to blame but herself. If looks could kill, I'd be dead 1,000 times over. She still had that trust fund boyfriend, I guess. She could try hitting him up for the money. As for me, I got in my car and started the drive back to Yale. My car? Of course I have a car. I'm financially independent. What's wrong with that? Nothing at all. A beautiful life at Yale was waiting for me. I hadn't dated anyone for 3 years, all to maintain my cover for this single act of vengeance. I'd learned from my first death. In life, you need a personal brand. Mine was the devoted, tragic lover. Things didn't go so well for Chloe. The story of what happened on the quad spread like wildfire across campus. As for her rich boyfriend, please, he was playing the same game she was, just having some fun before graduation. He was about to go home and take over his family's multi-million-dollar business. Playtime was over. The next few weeks were amazing. Back at Yale, however, a rumor started to circulate that I had been dumped by my long-term girlfriend. At Yale, Leo Carter, was already something of a campus celebrity. First, I was handsome. Second, I was a brilliant student. And third, I was known for being incredibly devoted. For 3 years, I had openly told people I had a girlfriend back home. No one had ever seen her, but they had seen me diligently working and living frugally, sending money home every month. I had spent 3 years building my reputation. My roommates tried to console me. Plenty of fish in the sea, man. One afternoon, I was doing research in the Sterling Memorial Library. I never trusted what you could find online. Too much of it was garbage. A soft, fragrant scent drifted over to my table. I knew who it was without even looking. The brilliant and beautiful Victoria Vance. Everyone called her Tori. She'd been trying to get my attention for 3 years. She was a great girl and gorgeous, leagued beyond Chloe. "Hey, Tori," I said, looking up. "I heard you broke up with your girlfriend," she said, a smile playing on her lips. "And why does that make you so happy?" I asked, arching an eyebrow. "Of course I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be? A great guy like you is finally available. Any woman who would let you go is blind, and her loss is my gain. It means I finally have a chance." I like her style. Direct, bold, and unapologetic. "Tori, I'm not really looking to jump into a new relationship right now," I said, deploying the perfect line. 4 years is a long time. Even if I don't love her anymore, I don't know if I can trust and love again. Look at me, laying it on thick. She gave me a look of deep understanding. She didn't understand a thing. If I jumped into a relationship with her right away, it would ruin my carefully crafted image. "That's okay," she said, her smile not wavering. "I've got time, and I'm not giving up." 13 BZT. I was lying on my bed in my dorm room when my phone vibrated. A text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Chloe. The message was predictable. It was all a big misunderstanding, a joke that went too far. She loved me. Why didn't I listen to her explanation? Blah, 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 let's get back together. I typed out a quick reply. "Don't ever text or call me again. This is the last message you will ever receive from me. And by the way, I know all about your trust fund boyfriend. I saw you two going into a hotel together more than once." Then I blocked her number and deleted the conversation. When Chloe tried to reply, all she got was an error message. Message failed to send. She must have been furious. The credit card debt had been broken down into monthly installments, but without a job, how could she pay it? The job market was flooded with new graduates. Did she really think she could walk into a 6-figure salary? Worse, her reputation on campus was in tatters. All the judgment I had faced in my past life was now hers to bear. She couldn't believe I would be so ruthless. She thought I was still her pathetic lapdog, that all she had to do was crook her little finger and I'd come running back. That error message was her reality check. I was gone, and she never knew I'd seen her cheating. Correction, I hadn't seen it, but I knew about it. She still had no idea I was a student at Yale. She thought I was just a delivery driver. I had already explained the situation to my parents, so even if she went to them, they wouldn't tell her a thing. When Chloe went home, things got even worse. After 4 years of being pampered by me, her mother had become lazy and entitled. She'd been crowing to all the neighbors about her daughter's rich new boyfriend. The last time I had visited, she'd been nothing but rude and dismissive, her words like daggers. Now, she'd heard that I had broken up with her daughter, and the rich boyfriend had disappeared. What was she going to do for money now? 15, whatever her problems were. They had nothing to do with me. The next year, I focused on my studies and prepared my application for grad school. Several of my professors were keen to have me as a research assistant. Money wasn't an issue for me anymore. My priority was reclaiming the academic life I'd lost. With my intelligence and my knowledge of the future, I had not only made money from creative ventures, but also file patents for a few small but lucrative inventions. I was set for life. But you can't keep a secret forever. Somehow Chloe found me. I don't know if she was truly sorry or just desperate for a bailout. But she showed up on Yale's campus. When I saw her standing there, I was stunned. Leo, I finally found you. You went to college and you never told me. She looked around at the historic, ivy-covered buildings, a world she could never hope to enter. Do I know you? I said coldly. Why would I have any reason to tell you my plans? State your business or leave. This is a private campus. My indifference made her crumble. Tears streamed down her face as if on command. I was wrong, Leo. I know I was wrong. I realize now that you're the one I love. Can't you just give me one more chance? For everything we used to have? Don't you have any feelings left for me at all? Everything we used to have? Funny, that's not what she said a year ago. A year ago, you stood in front of a crowd and said you were too good for a poor delivery driver. I made it very clear then that we were finished. I'm sorry, but my advisor is waiting for me. Please don't come here again. I turned to leave, but she lunged forward to grab my arm. Before she could touch me, another hand intercepted hers. Excuse me. Who are you? And please don't put your hands on my boyfriend. It was Tori. Who are you? Chloe shrieked, her eyes wild. Leo, who is this? She can't be your girlfriend. You're just doing this to get back at me, aren't you? Even now, she was trying to twist the narrative. Don't project your own character onto others, I said flatly. Let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Victoria Vance. We got together a month ago. The entire university knows. Please don't apply your own sordid way of thinking to everyone else. Only a month, she cried. Leo and I have 4 years of history. You're just using her to make me jealous because I made a mistake. The shamelessness was breathtaking. Miss Miller, I said, my voice dropping to an icy calm. If you continue to harass me, I will call the police. And this isn't Ohio State. If you don't leave, campus security will remove you. With that, I took Tori's hand and walked away, not looking back. Chloe tried to follow, but 2 security guards quickly stepped in to block her path. 16. Over the next few weeks, Chloe's harassment became relentless. It was infuriating. I was starting to think I had been too lenient. But thankfully, the student body at Yale was sharp. Combined with the reputation I had built over the years, no one believed her sob stories. Still, it was a constant annoyance. I never would have guessed that Tori, my bold and loving girlfriend, was even more ruthless than I was. Chloe liked rich guys, right? So Tori found one to pursue her. It was only then that I learned the truth about Tori. Her family wasn't just wealthy. They were old money, politically connected, powerful in a way I hadn't comprehended. A true blue blood. But it didn't make me feel inferior. Knowledge is its own power, and as a top mind in my field, I was no slouch. Besides, with my own finances, I was a long way from needing to be a kept man. Chloe, meanwhile, thought she had hit the jackpot. She believed her decision to come to the East Coast was the smartest move she'd ever made. With her looks and ambition, she was sure she could land someone better than me. She fell for the guy Tori sent, and just like that, the harassment stopped. It was only later that I found out that Tycoon was just a struggling actor. When someone offered him a generous sum to play the part of a wealthy heir, it was the role of a lifetime. He had the confident, powerful CEO act down cold. Chloe was convinced she had finally found her soulmate. Tori's plan was far more sophisticated than mine. Ruining someone's reputation was one thing. Ruining their finances was another. But what she had in store was on a whole different level. 17. I honestly didn't think about Chloe much after that. Tori and I were inseparable. We got engaged, and our families were thrilled. We were the perfect match, the brilliant scientist and the beautiful heiress. A campus legend. I finished my Ph.D. My patents were making real-world impacts, and I was even doing some consulting work for the government. Money had become completely irrelevant. My life was about my work and my family. 3 years later. Tori, honey, can you please do something about our little monster? I pleaded. I don't know who he gets it from. He's barely 2, and he's already a one-boy demolition crew. Our son had inherited the best of our genes. Handsome, with an off-the-charts IQ. Tori, pregnant with our second child, looked up from her tablet and laughed. Oh, I don't dare. That little guy has diplomatic immunity. Both our dads would have my head if I even looked at him sternly. She was right. If I so much as raised my voice, I'd get a coordinated barrage of phone calls from both sets of grandparents. "Here," she said, handing me her tablet. "Look at this." I glanced at the screen. It was a detailed report on Chloe Miller's life for the past few years. I scrolled for a second, then tossed it onto the coffee table. "What's wrong?" "Not interested," Tori teased, a mischievous glint in her eye. Feeling a little pang of pity, I sighed dramatically. This woman. "Darling, are we still on this? How long are you going to hold that over my head?" I said, pulling her into a hug. "Whether that woman is alive or dead has nothing to do with me. My life is you, Victoria Vance. Only you. I don't need to read that." My answer seemed to satisfy her. "Good answer," she purred. "But let me tell you anyway. No one gets away with hurting my man." The story was grim. The actor, on Tori's orders, had completely conned Chloe. He lavished her with gifts and money, making her believe she had finally secured her future. But just as she got comfortable, he pitched her a guaranteed investment opportunity, painting a picture of unbelievable wealth. Somehow Chloe bought it. With the actor's encouragement, she took out a series of high-interest, predatory loans. The rest was predictable. Once she was in debt up to her eyes, the tycoon vanished. She was left with nothing. The report said that for a while, she sold her body to pay the interest. But eventually, I listened to the whole sordid tale, then looked at my brilliant, beautiful, and terrifyingly clever wife. A slow smile spread across my face. All I could say was 3 words. "You are trouble."